Good morning, good afternoon, good evening internet, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, EconomicalRides. Hi there, so this is a bit more like it, some decent weather at long last. So you join me today with the Classic 350 in a village whose name I can't remember and I can't pronounce, even if I could remember it. And we're just going to go for a little ride today and see how the Classic performs, and we'll just have a little bit of a chat. But it's really great to just have such a nice day, and yeah, looks like we're going to get a dry week, which will be the first time in 2.5 months or something that we get some prolonged dry weather, so thank goodness for that. So we had to take this opportunity to get out on a bike. Now if you had any doubts about how much rain we've had, you only need to look how green everything is, and when we go down this road you're sure to discover it. So without any further ado, let's commence. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the preview of my GoPro working once again. This is becoming an increasing problem. It just doesn't connect. So I've no idea where the camera's pointing, so I apologise if it's pointing a bit different to normal. These things are sent to try us. So yeah, nice little village this is, but there's a nice road coming up as well. So we won't be going fast today because we're still running in. I'm not sure if you can see through the condensation, but the Classic has now done 1,101.5 kilometers. So I've got about another 1,000 to go. But yeah, you should notice all the wildflowers, how green everything is. This is pretty unusual. And it's not doing my hay fever a lot of good either, so I'm a little bit hoarse. And that's the reason, because it's irritating my throat a little bit. So we've got this white car which is crawling about as if it doesn't know where it wants to go. To get past them just to be on the safe side, because they definitely don't know where they're going, whereas I do. So yes, we're back out on the Classic and we're back out on bikes, and hopefully, I don't want to speak too soon, but if we do get a week of dry weather, maybe we're coming out of our rainy season at long last and we can start looking forward to the summer. Let's hope so. Somehow I've managed to keep the videos coming over the past 2 months, even though I had about 5 days of riding weather. But it was quite stressful because obviously when I had a dry day I had to drop everything I was doing and go out and film something, and usually try and film 2 videos at once because you never knew when the next dry day was going to be. So if we get more dry days, the whole situation becomes a lot more relaxed, a lot less stressful, hopefully. So a couple of things I want to talk about today. First of all, I recently passed over 200,000 views on my channel, which is quite mental to think that 1/5 of a million people have clicked on my videos whether by mistake or intentionally, who knows. But even so, that's a lot of people, that's a lot of clicks. So thank you to all of my regular viewers and all of you who clicked in error. They all count. I don't mind, click away. So yeah, I feel like a bit of a YouTuber now, I have to say. 200,000, mamma mia. Not bad, eh? Not bad at all. So, last weekend I went out on the Classic and I just did a long ride just to put kilometres on it, because I want to get it running, because I can't really compare it performance wise with the Meteor until it's running and the engine is producing the full power. So I'm quite keen to get the 2,000 to 2,500 kilometres out of the way as soon as possible. So last weekend I went for a long boring ride, but it was like a 3-hour round trip, 3.5 hours actually, and I must say I was super impressed by the comfort of the standard seat on the Classic 350, because it was a 3.5 hour round trip and I didn't get off the bike. I just rode, and it was only in the last half hour or so that I even started to shuffle about on the seat. So that was a really good performance from the standard seat, and it kind of confirmed my initial thoughts when I first picked the bike up. The seat feels soft initially, like the Meteor standard seat does, but unlike the Meteor standard seat, it does feel as though it's got a bit more support and it should be better for longer periods in the saddle, and that's exactly how it is. So it's a really great standard seat. It's soft initially, which the Meteor touring seat isn't particularly, but it seems to be comfortable for almost as long or as long as the Meteor touring seat. So I'd say that was a brilliant standard seat. Now, one thing I've noticed running in the Classic 350 is that I tend to have to ride it as a 4-speed gearbox bike, because it's very rare that I can actually use 5th gear, because with the slightly taller gearing and the fact that the engine isn't producing full power yet, every time you hit 5th gear, unless it's a very flat road or a downhill road, the engine tends to lug a little bit. That wasn't quite as bad with the Meteor. I found with the Meteor, when I was running in, I did use 5th gear a fair bit more than I am on the Classic. So again, I think that's just the consequence of the slightly higher gearing on the Classic. Means that when you're running in, 5th gear doesn't get an awful lot of a look in, really. But that's okay once the engine frees up a bit, which it's doing every time I go out. So once the engine frees up a little bit, I dare say I'll be using 5th gear pretty regularly also on this bike. Yeah, so as you can see here, everything is green and covered in flowers, and for southern Spain, Andalusia, that is quite unusual. But we've had so much rain, all of the ramblers, which are dry riverbeds normally, they're all full of water. I mean, they're practically like rivers. They're very wide and full of water. I don't know if it's an unprecedented amount of rain we've had this year, but it certainly feels like it. I can't remember it raining that much for such a prolonged period without a break, really. We've got the odd, every couple of weeks we get one day where the road's dried out and it didn't actually rain again. And those were the days I nipped out, and then the next day or that evening usually the rain came back in again. So it's been pretty extreme. Just checking to see how much fuel we've got. Okay. Yeah, so this is a lovely little scenic route today. It's actually a long ride. In total it'll be a long ride, so I'll probably divide this into 2 videos, I think. and you can just accompany me on my lovely classic 350 in the beautiful green Spanish countryside. Yeah, have to keep your eyes out for stones and gravel and rocks on the road, because there's been landslip everywhere again here. That's a result of all the rain. Actually, this road was actually closed back where I came through, but the local residents had made a kind of a dirt track around the obstruction. What it was, it looked like a bridge had collapsed, and I just used a little dirt road to get to the other side of this where the road disappeared, and all was good. So I've had quite a few roads that I've tried to ride down which have been closed, probably for landslip or bridges that have been washed away. Well, I hope you all enjoyed my sound comparison video. Judging by the comments, many of you did. As you can imagine, it was quite a tough one for me to edit. I had 2 video streams and 2 audio streams which I had to synchronise and then chop about without moving anything or losing anything. So yeah, it was quite a challenge for 7 minutes of video. I probably spent 7 hours editing, so not a great return, but it needed to be done, and I think I'm quite happy with how it turned out. Except my voiceover. On my voiceover I was a bit hoarse, and I didn't realise at the time, but when I listened back it did sound like I was dying. But again, that's just my allergies playing up, because there's so much pollen about at the moment. My throat's always a little bit sore, a little bit irritated. But yeah, definitely every time I go out on the Classic now, I can feel that the engine's a little bit stronger. I can use a higher gear on some hills, and yeah, I'd expect that to continue to improve until about 2,500 kilometers. Gravel. Oh, more gravel. There we go, there's a bit of a view for you. That's quite a wide view. So yeah, one thing I'm thinking is that because I enjoyed going off-road with the Meteor so much, I'm thinking I need to do more of that. But then at the same time I'm thinking I don't really want to punish my Meteor excessively. So my thoughts are sort of turning towards bikes with knobbly tyres. I think as an accompaniment to the Meteor, something with a bit of off-road capability would be quite nice. That idea was reinforced basically by looking at Google Maps and seeing that actually there seems to be a ton of trails like the one I rode in that video all over those mountains, and they all sort of join up or they bring you back onto the main road further down. And yeah, it looks like it would be great fun exploring those trails. So there's something I'd definitely like to do in the future, but for now we'll stick to the roads with the two bikes that I've got. I mean, when the roads are like this, it's not the worst thing in the world, is it? I will be attempting that trail that we did on the Meteor with the Classic 350 just for comparison, but I don't want to do that until the Classic 350 is fully run in, because I fear that with the taller gearing and the lack of torque, it might struggle to chug along in second gear in the way that the Meteor did, and I don't really want to be in first gear all the way down there. That could be a bit frenetic. So I think I'll give the engine a bit more time to develop its full torque, and then at some point we will be tackling that entire trail once again with the Classic, just to see how it compares. And other than that, I may visit some other trails with the Meteor. I have to be careful because it's got road tyres, and it did occur to me after I made the last video that yeah, okay, it's got road tyres, so when you're on fairly deep sand you've actually got no grip. It's like a slick in the wet. Basically there's nothing for the tyres to grab a hold of, or the sand to grab hold of, so it's basically like riding slicks in the wet. And that was okay because on that particular trail I'd chosen to go down it the right way, so I was actually descending, and when you're descending in the sand it's not too bad. You just have to make sure you control your speed so that you don't have to touch the front brake at any point, and you know, use the engine braking and a little bit of rear brake, as much rear brake as you can get away with, to keep your speed under control, because actual proper braking on those tyres on sand is almost impossible. So if you started going too quickly you'd be in trouble. But anyway, yeah, what occurred to me afterwards was, okay, so I was going down these sandy slopes thinking, oh well, that's all right, you know, it's sand, fair enough, I'll just be very judicious with the back brake and make sure we're using plenty of engine braking and we should get down all right, which we did. But of course what I didn't think of was if after that we'd reached a section where it was sandy uphill, there's no way I would have been able to get up there with these tyres. So then my only alternative would be to turn around, but then I'd be facing going up the sandy bit that I came down. So basically I'd be stuck. Either way I chose to go, I wouldn't be able to get back out. So yeah, I'm a little bit cautious about going down a trail I don't know now with those tyres, because that could quite easily happen, you know. And then you're just stuck. You can't get out one way, you can't get out the other way, and then you have to just call for help. So we'll see, but I would like to tackle another trail on the Meteor at some point. We'll see how we go. But yeah, medium to longer term, I think probably I need a bike for that job. Whether I get something second hand or whether I go for another new bike for the channel, I don't know yet. But definitely riding those trails is something I'd really like to do, because there's so many of them, and they're only about half an hour away from where I live. So the on-roading would be the smallest part, and then you'd have like an hour and a half or whatever of riding goat tracks, which I think would be pretty cool. Yes, this road's quite nice. So I don't know if I've got an awful lot to talk about today really, so I'll just shut up a bit and we can just enjoy the ride. Yes, this pollen's definitely playing havoc with my allergies. Now my eyes are starting to itch and tear up. So there you go. We don't like the green stuff, although it is pretty. So yeah, I enjoyed the ride out here. I'm enjoying this ride. On my last ride, the 3-hour ride, I did have a kind of an inkling that I was having gearbox issues. I kept changing up and it wouldn't go up. It stayed in the same gear. But on the way back on that trip, I made a conscious effort to change up with a bit more oomph, a bit more deliberately. And I didn't have any issues, and I haven't had any issues coming out it, so I think that was just literally jumping from the Meteor to this. It took me a while to figure out how to do the toe up shifting again, and I need to be a little bit more deliberate with it, and then the gears seem to go in fine. So initially I was a little bit worried that I had a bit of a weird gearbox problem, but I would say that was user error more than anything. So this is where we need to go left. So this bit of road's a bit boring actually, so I think we'll look for somewhere to stop. And we'll call this one a video. I'll probably be doing a bit more filming today. So that'll probably be part 2 of this same ride when the road gets interesting again. So far all good with the Classic. I'm quite happy with it. The condensation in the LCD part of the display is getting on my nerves. That seems to just keep getting worse and worse. You think it's dried out and then it comes back again. I'm not sure what that's all about. Yeah, gear shift issues, not really. I don't think that's the bike's fault. I think that's user error, as I say. So yeah, at the moment happy enough with it. Fuel economy seems to be good. but then obviously I'm keeping the speed down because we're still running in. We'll just pull in here and I'll wrap this video up. So here we are in the greenness. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I certainly enjoyed making it. It looks like we might be in for some more consistently dry weather now, so hopefully making videos won't be quite as tricky as it has been. And we'll keep the content coming, and hopefully you'll keep coming back to watch it. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon in part 2 of this ride. Bye bye.